The Biden administration is taking heat, rightly so. Why? Well, it's striking a deal with Iran to swap prisoners. Okay, that can be a good thing. But is this the right deal? They're going to give Iran $6 billion in frozen Iranian funds. Remember that. You're going to hear people say, and you're giving them $6 million of our tax dollars. It's not true. It's not $6 billion of your tax dollars. It's frozen assets. But still, what are they going to do with that money? Use it for good things or bad things? 5 prisoners on each side to be exchanged. The State Department said, they said the point that I'm giving you right now, which is no money, no taxpayer money is going. It's true, but you're still giving them a huge chunk of cash they can use to do bad things, okay? It's a terrorist state. The swap is said to be part of a bigger effort to de-escalate tensions with Iran. Now, the other side of that is a lot of people feel like you shouldn't be trying to allay tension. You should be applying more tension. And if you're the stronger person, you should play with might makes right against the terrorist organization. That's the argument. The U.S. says the $6 billion can only be used for humanitarian goods. How do we control that? Now, the swap is causing a lot of frustration, even outrage, for families and representatives of U.S. prisoners in Iran that are not included in the swap. Joining us is Giselle Sharmahd. Okay, her father, Hamshid Sharmahd, has been in an Iranian prison for 3.5 years. Okay, he's a U.S. national. He came to the United States in 2003. In 2009, an Iranian tried to kidnap him and murder him. Why? Because he's an activist speaking about the horrors of what's happening in that terrorist state. 2020, they tried to kill him in the United States, by the way. In 2020, he was kidnapped in Dubai. He had a stopover on a trip and brought to Iran, where he's been held in prison for 3.5 years. Dubai says they're going to help. They're not even answering any of our calls now, and they're supposed to be our friend. He is not part of the deal to swap prisoners. We're also joined by the family's lawyer, Jason Poblete. He has multiple clients who are held in Iran and not part of this swap. Giselle, first I want to start with you. Thank you very much. I know how hard this is for your family. I know that you've had to put your life on hold and focus on getting your father home. What does this situation mean to you?
Thank you so much for, first and foremost, Chris, to have me on the show. I've been campaigning to save my dad's life for 3 years now, and I wish I would have been on a show because that would have made my life so much easier. So thank you for being the first one that gives me the voice to talk about what I feel right now. And as you clearly explained, the Biden administration is doing some kind of deal, some kind of negotiation is going down, which we all don't approve of, but especially me, as the daughter of a U.S. national that's been held hostage in Iran, who was kidnapped and taken there by force and has right now a death sentence. I am all for getting Americans back home. Don't get me wrong, I want every single family to come back. But why are we cherry-picking cases? And what are we basing these cherry-picking, the criteria on? How do we decide? Does the president just look at the cases and pick 5 of them that he likes or that are the easiest? Why are we not bringing my dad back right now? My dad is right now in a courtroom, they call it a courtroom, in a kangaroo court in the Islamic regime. You know who's next to him right now on the stand? The U.S. government, the Islamic regime, has made a kangaroo court for my dad and the former representatives of the U.S. government, namely Mike Pompeo, everybody in the Trump administration. They were served, that's what the Islamic regime said, but they didn't show up except for my dad, because my dad wouldn't have showed up either, but he was kidnapped and taken there. They're making a big show out of this sham trial to show their power, to show that this is never going to be over. You cannot give these hostage takers money and expect that they will act in a humane way, that they will not continue their terror on U.S. citizens, on U.S. nationals, on U.S. administration, on activists and journalists like my dad. They're continuing to do that as we speak, as we're sending them the billions of dollars right now. That's what the news was this morning in Iran, that my dad and the U.S. government is in court in Iran.
Yeah. Listen, everything you say is accurate, and my heart goes out to your family. And this is, I can't tell you how many times we've talked to people who are in your situation. And for every one that comes home, they're like 10 that are still stuck somewhere. Now, Jason, the flip side of the argument is, look, you do what you can, you get who you can, and this is their money anyway, and it's only humanitarian aid. The flip is, might makes right, And you have to play hardball with these people because that's all that they're going to understand. It's a power play. Where do you come down on this in your understanding of these negotiations? Can you guys hear Jason? I can't.
Yeah, in theory, that's the Iranian regime. The Iranian regime takes the position, it's their money, but that money belongs to the Iranian people. And
right.
I understand these negotiations are complex. We do not know everything that was agreed to and not agreed to. But Mr. Dalili and Mr. Sharmahd and many others are being left behind. And U.S. officials are going on camera repeatedly saying they're not. Well, that's not the case. The Congress has an obligation and they have a duty, I believe, to put this deal on ice. They could have done it until all these hostages were released. I'm very happy that people are getting out. I've worked on some of these cases in the past that have dragged on for years, cases that you've reported on, other media have reported on, and it's very complex. I understand the U.S. government is trying all they can in most of these cases, but in some of these cases, they've known about them for quite some time, and they are cherry-picking cases, and we're very concerned about that, and Congress needs to start chiming in, put all the rhetoric aside for a minute about Iran being an evil place. Look, we know Iran's bad. They're not going to change. We're not going to change their behavior overnight on hostage diplomacy. We know that. But the rhetoric that I've seen the last few days is harmful. Chris, it's telegraphing to hostage takers, not only in Iran, but in other countries, that America has a price. And we're putting a price on U.S. nationals and Americans the world over. I mean, I work on cases of an American in Cuba, Alina Lopez. There's the case of Mark Sweden in China that you've all reported on. And of course, this terrible situation we have now, this is not a good deal for Americans, not the way the Levinson Law is supposed to be implemented. There's a law on the books today that should be followed. They are not following it.
Right.
And I hope that cooler heads will prevail the next few days and we have more of a focused approach to what's happening and not this sporadic approach and harmful rhetoric, frankly. It's not helping anyone.
There's a Levinson Law, but there's no Levinson, right? He's another face of this problem where people who do the hostage taking do better in these deals than America does, arguably, especially if we're the most powerful country in the world. Giselle, I promise you this. I promise you this. I have a platform here, which means so do you. We will stay in touch with you. You let us know what you're hearing and what you're not, and we will stay on the story, okay? That is the job, and we will do it. Not just now. You've got our number. I'll talk to you in the break, and you'll have my number. You keep me in the loop, okay?
Thank you. Thank you. Can I just for 10 seconds speak to the president directly if he sees your show? President Biden, you are my president. I know you're doing whatever you can to bring hostages back home, Americans back home. My dad has lived here for decades. We have 4 generations of American. He didn't do anything wrong. He was kidnapped and taken to Iran, and you have it in your powerful hands to save his life. If you leave him behind, the kidnappers, the hostage takers will murder him. I can guarantee you the moment the hostages get here, they will announce the day that they will execute my dad if they haven't done it by now. So please do everything in your power. Speak about my dad. Just naming his name, that will give him immunity and bring him back with all the other hostages. Thank you so much.
We'll stay in touch. Send my best to your mother. All right. And Jason Counselor will be, you know how to get us. All right. Thank you both.
Thank you.